Alright, here we have this sort of cloth-bound red book, and it's got the stain on the front. It's called The Mystery of Your Palm. So this is a book about palmistry or chiromancy, and it's published by David McKay. The back is just a solid red, and there's no gilding on the pages or anything. The book itself, it's not dated, but it's in really good condition. So here's a beginning title page, The Mystery of Your Palm. There's a slight tear there. And on the here's the title page, the full title page. It says, The Mystery of Your Palm, How It Affects Your Life, Your Career, Your Marriage, by Psychos. Published in Philadelphia by the David McKay Company. It's not dated, but online, some sources are saying it was first published in 1930. This definitely feels like a book that could be from 1930. It's hard to say. So here's the contents. It's got introduction, part 1, chirognomy, character as shown by the hands in general. Chapter 1 is consistency and flexibility. Chapter 2 is the palm and its indications. Chapter 3, the finger and fingertips. Chapter 4, the thumb and nails. Chapter 5, the mounts. And then we've got part 2, which is chiromancy, past, present, and future events as indicated by the lines and marks on the hands. Chapter 6 is the characteristics of lines. Chapter 7 is the lines. Chapter 8 is the minor lines. And Chapter 9, the professions. Chapter 10, general instructions. So here's the introduction. It says, The Mystery of Your Palm. Introduction. The human hand has been described as the creator's masterpiece of mechanism and its wonderful adaptation to the requirements of life. Yet strange to say, whilst almost every section of the human body has its medical specialist, there are none such for the hands as a whole. Medical men occasionally use the nails and fingers to confirm a diagnosis, but few of them realize that the hand, as the direct servant of the brain, in its markings not only reveals the workings of the brain and the general characteristics, but also the physical ailments. Further, any latent heart weakness is plainly and certainly discernible in the hand. It cannot be denied that there is much opposition to the practice of palmistry, based upon ignorance and bigotry. I want to make it clear that I don't necessarily believe or support the views in this book. I consider this sort of topic to be a pseudoscience, but it's still interesting to look at, and it's interesting to see how these books read, and they're just kind of curiosities to me. So this has a lot of diagrams of the hand, obviously. So here we see short fingers above and long fingers below. And here it says, the practice of speaking of hands as being spatulate, square, conic, or pointed is entirely erroneous, for the fingers cannot be classed in a group. Each one must be considered by itself, as hands are almost always mixed in type, and you will find that the fingertips will be seen to vary greatly in shape. And here's a number of different illustrations of hands. This one showing spatulate and square, this one showing pointed and conic. And there's just a ton of these illustrations, and they're really nice to look at. They're really well done. Here we can see it says, when knotty fingers are seen, the tips of the fingers must always be noted. If these are square tips, they add square qualities to the knotty ones. In this case, you will find a fanatic for red tape, a severe disciplinarian, and hard task master. If the tips are spatulate, with the first knot developed, you will have a subject who is extremely obstinate and cranky. Conic or pointed tips, so it's deriving the personality of people based on the whether or not their fingers are conic or pointed or knotty. Here's a section for the thumb and nails. Having dealt fully with the fingers, their terminations and qualities, the thumb now claims attention. This is by far the most important member of the hand, as without it the rest would be practically useless. The thumb, as in the case of the fingers, is divided into 3 phalanges, and the 3 worlds of palmistry equally apply to it. And here's a great diagram of a bunch of different types of thumbs. And it's hard when you're working through this book to not want to look at your own hand and make comparisons and draw all these conclusions. Let's see here. Here's various types of nails, so showing different types of fingernails there. And this is a section for what are called the different mounts. So here's the Mount of Jupiter. This mount is situated at the base of the first or index finger, to which it gives the name Jupiter, and is seen, of course, on both hands. The method of judging the mounts in order to determine which is the strongest has already been detailed, as also the way to proceed when several mounts are equally well developed. The Jupiterian is always ambitious and a leader amongst men. He is to be found in all walks of life. So yeah, this book also has some kind of a sexist language, just referring to mankind as men a lot of the time. We've seen that in other books that we've looked at as well. It's just, unfortunately, a really common thing to see in these older books. Here we are. Here's some pointed tips with let's see. And here's pointed or conic fingers with dominant Mercury. And so here's the Mount of Mercury. The mount is situated at the base of the fourth finger, and in conjunction with it marks the Mercurian, whose varied capabilities will necessitate careful consideration. So Mercury is the Mount of Mercury is around the base of the fourth finger, it says. The first essential with this type is to find out which side, the good or the bad, is the stronger, for of all the types, the Mercurian is most easily led into dishonest practice. If good, the Mercurian is one of the best, and most successful in science, eloquence, industry, law, politics, or medicine. On the other hand, no greater cheats, swindlers, or liars can be found. And it makes you wonder, where does it get the information to make those claims? You know, it's just sort of arbitrary how it's basing that just on the sort of archetypes, I guess, of Mercury and the different gods. So these are the different variations of the lines that are apparent in the hand, different classifications. It says, when examining the lines of the hand, the first important point to notice is the character, i.e. their clearness, depth, evenness, whether they are perfect or defective, and if defective, the nature of the defect, how far it extends, and the condition of the line following the defect. And here's some descriptions labeled uneven lines and labeled repair signs. So it's just showing the different types of lines on these hands. It's got the dots, a triangle, grill, and circle on the other page here. Oh, and here is the time as indicated on the lifeline. So that's showing the lifeline there. And this, if not used for palmistry, this book would be great just as a reference book for drawing open hands like this, just because it's got so many different drawings of hands in here. Alright, and this one shows age shown on heart line. And here's the headline. The importance of this line cannot be overestimated, seeing that it indicates the nature of the mental qualities and tells of the character of the mind, which operates through the brain and manifests itself on this line. Hence it is rarely absent from the hand, though other lines may be missing. Alright. We're getting pretty far into the book now, and we've got various formations of head lines here. You can see all the different types of lines. Okay, and then here we have a section for various formations of the lifeline. So actually, let's go back and read about the lifeline. That's one that a lot of people talk about. So it says, this line rises at the side of the hand, well under the finger of Jupiter, encircling the mounts of Lower Mars and Venus. It terminates in most cases under Mount Venus. The line should be well cut, clear of defects, not broad and shallow and continuous, not too red in color, not too pale, but rather pink. The color tests are peculiarly applicable to it. The line indicates the health of the subject during the various periods of life, and also whether the course of the life is upwards or downwards. In many instances, it shows the probable termination of life. This line is rarely absent. Indeed, its total absence would show that the life of the subject was extremely precarious and that death might come at any moment. At this stage, let me say that a strong thumb and a good headline will often carry the poorest lifeline beyond the natural ending. It is never possible to say that life will end at a certain age, for a strong will or vigorous brain can often wrest life from death. So that's something that you see in a lot of kind of pseudoscientific literature where nothing is ever really said definitively, so that there's a way to sort of, if for some reason the lifeline didn't accurately detail when somebody died, there would be some sort of explanation or reason that you could point to afterwards to say like, oh, this is why. Just kind of adding to the vagueness of it so you can defend any sort of result. So there was just a number of different hands drawn in there, and then we're at the last chapter here, which is just for general instructions. And then this is a great little bit at the end of the book here, which is just advertising other books in this series. So the home handbooks, cloth binding, 75 cents per volume. Got Zadkiel's Dream Book and Fortune Teller. Got some conjuring magic books there. And then we've got Hugo's How to Avoid Incorrect English, Sheldon's Letter Writer, What Shall I Say, Business Letters and Forms. And then there's The Mystery of Your Palm, the one we just looked at. And we've got Napoleon's Great Book of Fate and Oraculum at the bottom there. So a book about oracles. Alright, so that's The Mystery of Your Palm by Psychos, published by the David McKay Company. If you like the video, give us a like or a comment and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye.